What's up, hockey fans? The 2005 draft gifted us some incredible players along with a generational talent. In today's video, we're going to look back and redraft the top 10 based on what we know now. Remember, the 2005 draft is the one that came after the lockout, so the order was done a bit differently than in years past, using a lottery system designed to allow every team a chance to win. The method was up for debate, but Penguins fans sure didn't mind, as they won and their future changed forever. Let's dive in and see where these guys would be picked today. The Vancouver Canucks were in the 10th spot and in 2005 chose Luc Bourdon. Bourdon ended up playing a handful of games for the Canucks but was tragically killed in a 2008 motorcycle accident. So if we repick today, Vancouver would select goalie Ben Bishop. Bishop was originally drafted 85th overall by the Blues and has played for 5 teams over his career, most recently with Dallas. He's the tallest goalie to ever play in the NHL, and along with 222 career wins, he's also a 3-time Vezina Trophy finalist. Not too bad at all for a 10th pick in any draft. The Ottawa Senators held the 9th pick in the draft, and in 2005 selected Brian Lee. Lee played for a few teams during a rather unimpressive career, totaling a little over 200 NHL games. In our redraft, however, the Senators select Marc-Edouard Vlasic. Vlasic, originally the 35th overall pick, is a defenseman that's played over 1,200 NHL games for the San Jose Sharks. A good, steady defenseman has scored over 360 points in his career that's been a mainstay on the Sharks' back end. Exactly what the Senators would want out of someone drafted 9th overall. At number 8, the San Jose Sharks drafted Devin Setoguchi. Setoguchi had a nice start to his career, hitting the 20-goal mark in his first 3 seasons, but unfortunately, after he got traded away the next season, his numbers were never the same. He finished his career with about 260 points over 500 games. For purposes of our redraft, we're taking James Neal. Neal was originally drafted 33rd overall and has played for 6 teams during his career, but really found his way with the Penguins, where he hit the 40-goal mark playing alongside Evgeny Malkin. He currently sits with almost 300 goals and almost 560 points in about 870 career games, making the All-Star game 3 different times. Chicago had the next pick in number 7, where they selected Jack Skilly. Unfortunately for Skilly, he never quite stuck, as he ended up being a journeyman winger bouncing around the NHL, AHL, and various European leagues. So instead of Skilly, the Hawks really should have taken Paul Stastny. Taken originally 44th in the draft, Paul was part of the famed Stastny hockey family. The Senators had an impressive career playing for 5 different teams, probably having the most individual success in his early days in Colorado. At this point, he's played in over 1,100 career games and raked in over 800 points. He's also played a bunch internationally for Team USA, as he was part of the 2010 Olympic team that took home silver, which you may remember was the Sidney Crosby Golden Goal game. Columbus has had a lot of practice picking early in drafts, and this year was no different, picking at number 6. In 2005, they nabbed Gilbert Brulé. A centerman, Brulé never really stuck around in the NHL, bouncing around between the NHL and AHL, and eventually a bunch of years over in the KHL. Looking back, Columbus really should have drafted Kris Letang. A defenseman drafted 62nd overall by the Penguins has been a mainstay on their top defensive pairing for the past decade and a half. He's had his share of injuries, including multiple strokes and a neck injury that's forced him to miss a ton of time, but he's still played in over 1,000 games and has scored almost 700 career points. He's almost always in the top 10 Norris Trophy voting and has won 3 Stanley Cup championships with the Penguins and is widely considered the best defenseman in team history. And now we get into some of the good stuff. Montreal picked at number 5, selecting Carey Price, but spoiler alert, we'll dive into him a bit later. So let's just look at who they would pick for our redraft. Tuukka Rask. Rask was drafted 21st overall by Toronto, but then was traded to Boston the following season, where he played for 15 years. He's very possibly a Hall of Fame goalie, and likely the best Finnish goalie of all time. He's won a Stanley Cup, Vezina Trophy, part of a William M. Jennings winner, and a handful of medals playing internationally for Finland. Let's not forget the 308 wins in 560 games played. Really solid stuff here, and any team getting that production from a top 5 pick would be lucky. And for the 4th pick, Minnesota selects Benoit Pouliot. Pouliot is another early round pick that just didn't pan out. His career lasted through 2018, playing for 7 NHL teams and playing in 625 games. Not too bad, but you want more from a top 4 pick. That's why you're drafting Jonathan Quick at this spot. Originally the 72nd overall pick, Quick spent his entire career with Los Angeles until he was traded to Vegas this past season. Over his career, he's won 3 Stanley Cup championships, a silver medal for Team USA, he was a 2-time Vezina finalist, he won the William N. Jennings Award, and a Conn Smythe Trophy. He's been the backbone of the Kings franchise for the past 15 years, playing in almost 750 games and earning 375 wins. He had one of the best runs ever for a goalie during the Kings' 2012 Stanley Cup win, exactly what you want from a franchise goalie in the 4th pick in the draft. The Carolina Hurricanes had high hopes for this draft, winning the 3rd spot in the lottery. With their pick, they chose Jack Johnson. Unfortunately for them, though, he wasn't ready to commit to the NHL, so after a year, they traded away his rights to the Kings, and he somehow managed to stay in the league up until now. Looking back, though, the Hurricanes should have taken another King, Anze Kopitar. He originally went 11th overall, so great value for the Kings at that point. But if picked 3rd, Kopitar still would have lived up to the hype. He's a 2-time Stanley Cup champion, he's won the Selke and the Lady Byng twice, and he's been to 5 All-Star games. He's consistently one of the top defensive forwards in the league while still putting up points. He's played almost 1,300 games and scored over 1,100 points and has a realistic shot of retiring as the all-time leading point getter for the Kings. What a player he became. The unfortunate reality for the Ducks at number 2 is they lost out on a certain generational talent, but with a deep draft, they still managed to pick up a stud in Bobby Ryan. Ryan had a really nice career, scoring almost 600 career points playing for the Ducks, Senators, and Red Wings. But doing it again, however, the Ducks should have drafted Carey Price, originally going number 5 overall. Price has won basically everything you can as a goalie except for the Stanley Cup. He's been an All-Star 7 times, but he was an absolute beast during his peak in 2015, when he won 44 games and had a .933 save percentage, leading the Canadiens to the playoffs and winning himself the Hart, Vezina, Ted Lindsay, and William M. Jennings trophy. Overall, he's won over 360 games and played in over 700, while playing on some really bad Canadian teams. He's also won gold with Team Canada at the Olympics and the World Cup of Hockey. Carey Price has done pretty much everything you could hope for in making him your 2nd overall pick. And here we are at the number 1 pick, and the only pick in this redraft that didn't change. The Pittsburgh Penguins originally selected Sidney Crosby and obviously would choose him again. Crosby came into the league with an incredible amount of hype and somehow has lived up to and exceeded expectations to become one of the top players to ever play in the NHL. We don't have enough time to dive into everything, but we did just do a review of Sid's top 10 moments in another video. The link is below. Crosby has won the Stanley Cup 3 times, the Conn Smythe, Art Ross, Hart, and Rocket Richard trophy all twice, a bunch of All-Star games, gold medals, you name it, he's pretty much won it. He's the type of player GMs dream of when picking 1st overall. The Penguins were in a really bad place when he came aboard, with the possibility of relocating and just being a really bad team for quite a while. He helped turn them around in a big way and continues to thrive all these years later. And there you have it, hockey fans, our 2005 NHL redraft. I'm sure there's going to be some picks that we don't agree on, so do us a favor and leave your comments below and let us know what we got wrong or right. Also help us out and hit that like and subscribe button, and don't forget it's a great day for hockey.